driven by the lack of access to menstrual hygiene products, Mr. Speaker. We always talk about teenage pregnancies, young mothers. We have Senator Miraj legislating on child parents, Mr. Speaker. Why are these things happening? Nobody goes behind the scenes to understand why are we having so many teenage parents, Mr. Speaker. So when I particularly drew out that line that the chairperson of this committee must have at least 10 years of working experience in the gender-related field, Mr. Speaker, is because we no longer want to take chances by experimenting or holding the hands of people who have got no experience and have got no idea what we are trying to do, Mr. Speaker. Period poverty is a bigger issue than many may think. It affects the economy. It affects our GDP, Mr. Speaker. If I had more time, I would come down with the numbers in terms of how missing classes actually translates to the success rates of our children in school. I would actually put out how access to menstrual hygiene products or lack of it affects even simple activities such as market days where women are unable to carry out their business, Mr. Speaker. So this is not an issue that just affects women. This is an issue that affects women, but in the long run affects the entire society, Mr. Speaker. So therefore, because of that, there is a stipulation that we have 10 years, at least 10 years working experience for the chair who will be nominated, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on point 7, we have in particular, and without prejudice to the generality of the power conferred under subsection 1, Mr. Speaker, this committee, now this, we're talking about the mandate of this committee, Mr. Speaker. One of the mandates that I want to put out here clearly is that this is a committee that will manage, control, and administer the assets of the committee. In terms of procurement and distribution, Mr. Speaker, we have in the past domiciled this fund in a ministry. The ministry decides by way of the Procurement Act 2015 without any deliberations of the impact or the end results that is desired. They say we are going to buy a certain number of pads, Mr. Speaker. I was even asking and wondering who decides the sizes, Mr. Speaker. I don't know if you're aware, Mr. Speaker, but sanitary pads also have sizes. So when we were going into these details, I said, okay, the ministry is purchasing these things. So who sits down and decides we are going to buy this size or that size, this quality or that quality, reusable or not reusable, tampons or no tampons? Now we have menstrual cups or no menstrual cups. Who decides? It is assumed that it is a one-size-fits-all, Mr. Speaker, that it is a one product is good for all, Mr. Speaker. That is the wrong assumption. So, Mr. Speaker, what we are trying to do, first of all, is in very simple terms, is to be able to go in and say, this money that you're giving, this is how we should spend it so that we can have maximum impact. So, Mr. Speaker, that committee will go into managing, controlling, and administering the distribution of pads to curb all the current challenges that we are having, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'll just quickly brush through what the committee shall do, Mr. Speaker. It shall also advise the government on the provision of sanitary towels in terms of priority areas, the vulnerable schools, restrictions in terms of the product, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, we also have a point here that I wanted to highlight is that in 8C, I am saying that this committee shall provide free, sufficient, and quality sanitary towels to every woman employed by or studying in a public institution and to every woman who is in the custody of a correctional facility, Mr. Speaker. Keywords, sufficient, Mr. Speaker. What is sufficient, Mr. Speaker? That is the question. Right now, there is an assumption that if the Ministry of Gender goes into a school and gives every girl one packet for the year, they have carried out their mandate, Mr. Speaker. It cannot be. One packet has 8 sanitary towels, Mr. Speaker. We bleed every month. Every single month, there is a girl having her period, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, if you're giving one packet with 8 pieces of sanitary towels, I don't know what the assumption is because there are 12 months in the year. And so when we are talking about shall provide sufficient, we are talking about understand that periods happen every month, understand that every other month that girl will require at the bare minimum 8 pieces of the sanitary towels. Mr. Speaker, when we are talking about quality of the sanitary towels, we have had so many incidences where a majority of our girls are suffering infections, Mr. Speaker. So you have vulnerable girls who have no access to sanitary towels. A donor or someone donates or gives or they buy a poor quality of sanitary towel, Mr. Speaker, because that is what they have. They use it. Before you know it, within a week or two, they are suffering UTIs, Mr. Speaker. Now they have to start dealing with access to a medical facility, to a gynecologist. Now they have to start dealing with money to be able to treat that infection. Why, Mr. Speaker? Because someone somewhere in government thought that as long as you give money and you tell that guy to purchase pads, then we are good, Mr. Speaker. So this bill is trying to mitigate the gaps that have been over the years, the reason why we have not had a high impact in terms of that particular program, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to draw the attention of the House and of the public to item 8D, where we have the committee shall, in consultation with county governments, provide a safe and environmentally friendly mechanism for the disposal of sanitary towels, Mr. Speaker. I can bet you, Mr. Speaker, of all the gentlemen sitting in the Senate, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 might be able to give you a clear roadmap of how used sanitary towels or used menstrual hygiene products are disposed of, Mr. Speaker. Yet, we are dealing with millions of pieces of plastic because a majority of these things are plastic, Mr. Speaker. So this committee is also mandated to make sure that there is an environmentally safe plan to dispose of these menstrual hygiene products. Mr. Speaker, as I go off the cuff a little bit, I want to say, one of the things that I've been wondering is, we don't have any regulations in terms of disposing of menstrual. Actually, we don't have any regulations in terms of menstrual hygiene. Mr. Speaker, we have an act, an education act, an act which is anchored in the education laws, Mr. Speaker, that touches on sanitary pads. Therefore, I've been wondering, all these cabinet secretaries in the past and in the present, none of them have actually tabled a regulation to be able to tell us, in that space, what do we need to regulate, Mr. Speaker? Why do I say that? Mr. Speaker, sometimes you go to institutions that has thousands of women, all of them bleeding, all of them having their periods every month, Mr. Speaker, and you find that in that institution, whether a school, whether it is a factory, Mr. Speaker, we heard of the case of the other factory where someone was punished because they threw a used sanitary pad in the wrong bin. All of these institutions should be compelled to be able to dispose of their menstrual hygiene products in a manner that is safe and environmentally friendly, Mr. Speaker. We are in 2025, and I have not seen a regulation compelling schools to be able, through the Ministry of Education, to procure and have incinerators that are environmentally friendly, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have cases in schools at the grassroots where the girls themselves are forced to interact with all these bulks of used sanitary pads, and they are forced to go out to the field to burn them because there is no proper disposal mechanism under any regulation, Mr. Speaker. So as you can see, this is an area that has not been legislated per se. And this is an area that, as much as we think it does not affect us, Mr. Speaker, I have seen people going for the climate workshops and the climate global conferences and everything, but I don't hear them talking about the thousands of plastics in terms of sanitary pads or menstrual hygiene products and what we are doing with them, Mr. Speaker. So that is one of the mandates that is outlined there, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in terms of monitoring and evaluation, we have never had a monitoring and evaluation in terms of this program. We have spent millions and millions of money over the years. And Mr. Speaker, I can tell you, I have asked for an M&E report from the Ministry of Education, from the Ministry of Gender, from the Ministry of Health even, so that I can be able to understand. By the time we started distributing pads, how far have we come, Mr. Speaker? What are the gains we have made? What are the challenges? Mr. Speaker, there's no monitoring and evaluation program. Can you imagine? We are spending 1 billion Kenya shillings in a program with no monitoring and evaluation. Mr. Speaker, that is one of the mandates that I have put for this particular committee. Mr. Speaker, as I highlight some of the, let me say, issues that were highly discussed in the public participation, I want to particularly touch on the biggest challenge that we have had in this program, Mr. Speaker. There has been a lot of theft, Mr. Speaker. When I say theft, this is what I mean. You have a budget, it's supposed to be used to procure sanitary pads. In the past, Mr. Speaker, and I stand corrected in this floor, but based on my findings, in the past, when the budget was domiciled in the Ministry of Education, Mr. Speaker, it was actually ring-fenced around a budget line item called general supplies, Mr. Speaker. So when you tell the women of Kenya that I'm giving you money for sanitary pads so that we can deal with this issue of period poverty, but at the same time you're telling them, I don't want to ring fence it under menstrual hygiene products. I'm saying this money for general supplies can be used for sanitary pads. So, Mr. Speaker, the theft I'm talking about is that you are aware, as a cabinet secretary, as an accounting officer, as a member of that ministry in terms of an officer, you are aware that that budget is for sanitary pads. But more often than not in the past, Mr. Speaker, you find that because it is listed as general supplies, that is the same money that is used for A or B, any other business within that ministry, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, they would then find justifications to say that in any case we have distributed, let's say, 300,000 pads and maybe they don't need the other pads, Mr. Speaker. As the women of Kenya, we have always been sidelined when it comes to gender-sensitive budgeting, Mr. Speaker. So when I talk of theft, I am also talking about theft within the budget allocation, theft within the spending of money that is supposed to be for sanitary pads and now is being rerouted to do other things, Mr. Speaker. When I also talk of theft, Mr. Speaker, in the last financial year, after we fought, Mr. Speaker, and I personally told the president that we bleed and we need more money, Mr. Speaker, and he actually agreed and lobbied the National Assembly and all other actors in terms of budget allocation. And we got 1 billion Kenya shillings, Mr. Speaker. To date, there is no clarity on how this 1 billion in totality was spent, Mr. Speaker. I have brought a statement at the floor of the House asking the accounting officer of that Ministry of Gender that was handling this money to give us clarity, to give us a transparency in terms of the money came in like this is how we spend it, this is how we distribute it, these are the number of people or beneficiaries that we have, Mr. Speaker. We got a very sketchy response, Mr. Speaker, and that is also another area that I want to say. I want to legislate and go down in the history of this country that for the first time, on a matter that deals with women and particularly girls, vulnerable girls, Mr. Speaker, we are choosing to legislate to end that theft in terms of budget allocation, budget expenditure, and even the distribution of whatever items that are bought for these beneficiaries who are in the grassroots, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to now get into my conclusion. There was worry that by creating a county-level interdepartmental committee, that we are just trying to create positions for Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. I have had many arguments with people, Mr. Speaker, in Parliament, outside Parliament, in my family sittings, you know, with friends, with foes, and I asked them, okay, you people don't want this bill because it is creating another committee on the county level, Mr. Speaker. So how do you want to ensure that the money is actually appropriated to the beneficial that it was intended for, Mr. Speaker? And someone came up with a suggestion and said, but bursary is given. Since bursary is given to every student, why don't they just map out the girls and add the money for the pads into the bursary so that it can go to the girls and the girls can use the money to buy pads, Mr. Speaker? In this house, let us be honest with each other. Who does the bursary go to, Mr. Speaker? the bursary goes to the parent. More often than not, the bursary goes to the father. More often than not, the father will decide this bursary has come, this is how we are going to do, Mr. Speaker. Even if it goes to the mother, Mr. Speaker, most of these households, and that is why I have run a campaign over the last 3 years, most of these households have decided that there should be a lot of shaming around menstruation. So therefore you find that even some of the members of both parliaments, the Senate and the National Assembly, when their daughters or their nieces, they are coming to them saying, please, can I have 500 shillings for my personal use? They start telling them, what personal use? Why do you need 500 shillings? Mr. Speaker, we all know very well, unless the government of Kenya is actually procuring that sanitary towel and giving it down to the beneficial. If you are going to now give money that is intended to buy sanitary towels to a father or a mother, Mr. Speaker, we are just going to be going around in circles, because we all know in these tough economic times, some other items will be prioritized more than this sanitary towel, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, my thinking and the proposal of this bill was that the actual items, which is the sanitary pads, be bought. Who is going to buy the pads? Who will decide which pads to be bought? It is not someone sitting in the Ministry of Gender here in Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, but it is a committee on the grassroots level, Mr. Speaker. I come from Kisii County, Bobasi constituency. We have 8 wards, Mr. Speaker. Down on the ward level, at bare minimum, there will be a representation of those wards, Mr. Speaker, in that committee. And in that committee, Mr. Speaker, there'll be a champion on the grassroots level who will be able to come and say, okay, I've been championing, I've been going around in this constituency, and these are the pain points. These are the vulnerable schools, Mr. Speaker. On county level is also where a county will be able to tell you that we are not interested in purchasing those imported Chinese products, Mr. Speaker. It is on county level. If you go to some of these counties, they have a high uptake of such items such as locally made reusable sanitary towels. But when you come to the ministry level on a national platform, there is no way you are going to convince the ministry that now we are going to start purchasing reusable pads. How? The stakeholders and the players on a national level will actually argue out that it is nothing it is too complicated, Mr. Speaker. So what this bill is actually trying to do is to take the powers from the national level and tell them, okay, on national level, you sit, you deliberate, you give monies to the different counties and these committees on the different counties. But on the county level, Mr. Speaker, it is those members of that county committee who then sit and say, in Kisii County, we are no longer going to allow such and such product because we have done our research and that product is actually causing infections. So in Kisii County, we are going to procure ABCD, Mr. Speaker. Right now, there is no flexibility for the end user to pick what is procured, to pick the sizes or whatnot, to pick the quality of what is being There is even no influence on the grassroots level for those in the grassroots to tell you that all of us probably are vulnerable in terms of access to menstrual hygiene products, but there's this particular school that is beyond vulnerable, and maybe we should prioritize that school because of the budgetary limitations, Mr. Speaker. That is what this bill is trying to do, to devolve this particular program down to the beneficiaries so that the beneficiaries feel the impact of a government program, Mr. Speaker, and they can be able to then attest and say that government is actually intentionally ending period poverty. Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude by saying there was an argument about whether I should be the one to propose and table this bill in the Senate, the upper house, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know, when people have already seen that your intention is for the people, and your intention is to move a budget from here to there, and your intention is to seal the loopholes that are encouraging corruption, including the distribution loopholes, Mr. Speaker, the first thing they will say is, but she cannot move that bill in the Senate because it's a money bill, Mr. Speaker. I have challenged many people. Is there a bill in both houses that does not speak or touch on resources, Mr. Speaker? More often than not, all the bills, in one way or another, will touch on resources or speak on resources, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm not trying to take away the mandate of the National Assembly, which is about allocating monies and the whole budgetary mandates that they have as a National Assembly, Mr. Speaker. That is why on Part 3, on the financial provisions, I am saying Part 316A, the funds of the committee shall comprise of, 1, monies that are appropriated by the National Assembly, Mr. Speaker. 2, such monies as may accrue to or vest in the committee in the course of the exercise of its power or the performance of its function under this Act. And 3, all monies from any other source provided for donations or lent to the committee, Mr. Speaker. This will also give us reprieve. Some of us champions who are out in the field trying to convince donors to come and, help in the initiatives that we are, Mr. Speaker. We will now have a proper channel, a proper framework on the county level to be able to say, I'm working with the county committee that deals with provision of free sanitary towels, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to say in this House, I have had many international non-governmental organizations come to my office and tell me that they are looking for ways to fund the government of Kenya to the tunes of billions, money that is particularly ring-fenced for provision of free sanitary towels, Mr. Speaker. But their biggest problem and their biggest challenge has been, we are not sure if we put it in the Ministry of Gender or Education or Health, whether it will actually go down to buying sanitary towels, Mr. Speaker. They always say that we lack a framework. They always say that we lack monitoring and evaluation, Mr. Speaker. They always say that we lack that goodwill from a government initiative for us to be able to say that we are going to put in 10 billion or whatever it is that they're putting, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you will note, and if the House can allow me to just draw a reference, the moment the Ministry of Gender was able to create a proper framework for ending female genital mutilation through the anti-FGM board, Mr. Speaker, the international donors, they had faith and they had the trust and the belief that now finally through this framework, we can be able to channel our money to end FGM, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, some of us who have had experience and are in the field of gender mainstreaming and gender-related programs, Mr. Speaker, we will tell you, sometimes even by the pronunciations of politicians or leaders or nominees, Mr. Speaker, you find that the budgets that were being proposed by donors or the international community or partners of the government suddenly are withdrawn, Mr. Speaker. So it is not rocket science that if we do not have a framework, we are not actually encouraging funding to come in to assist us in different programs, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to clarify that I am not, through this bill, I am not encroaching in the mandate of the National Assembly, which is to legislate on money bills. But what I'm trying to say is, as they will, if this bill passes, when they are doing the budgeting, Mr. Speaker, they will then be able to consider how much money will they be allocating towards provision of free sanitary towels to all schoolgirls, Mr. Speaker, and women in prisons. Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude by thanking all the members of this House. Mr. Speaker, they have been very supportive. Even when they have been opposing, they don't know they have been supportive, because as they oppose, I then go and think about what their worries are or what their thoughts are, and then I have been refining this piece of legislation, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank this House for supporting me, Mr. Speaker. I want to also thank our legal department, Mr. Speaker, with the leadership of Dr. Okello, for assisting me to understand why certain bills are drafted in a manner, and also just shed some light in terms of legislative procedures and things like that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank the many followers in the public space, particularly on social media, who every day, either through way of sarcasm or banter, have been pushing this agenda in terms of ending period poverty, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've gotten a lot of backlash in terms of all the billboards that I have in the city, in terms of ending period poverty. And I want to say that it is not about the billboard, Mr. Speaker. Those billboards have brought in thousands of donations in terms of sanitary towels, Mr. Speaker. Every single time you pass in that billboard, and I'm sure, Speaker, that when you pass there, you look and then you remember, I have to buy sanitary pads for my daughters or my nieces. I am sure even Senator Sifuna, every time he sees that billboard, he remembers that there's something he has to do in terms of budgeting, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I even know that some of the members in this House, it is by way of communication that they now finally got to understand what is period poverty. And then, you know, they would do some research and they would understand what we are trying to fight for. So, again, I want to thank my donors, all of them who have been very supportive, Mr. Speaker, as finally today, which to me is a very historical day, Mr. Speaker, and in honor of Jacqueline Chepngeno, as I second this bill, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that it has been a journey. I continue to walk the journey. I continue to stay strong, Mr. Speaker. And I want to conclude by calling a champion of women, Mr. Speaker, a champion of women out here, Mr. Speaker, to support. Mr. Speaker, I have many seconders. I don't know how we are going to do this. All the men want to second this bill, Mr. Speaker, but I'll pick one. I'll pick one, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude by calling the champion of women who has literally begged me that he would like to second this bill, and Senator Cherargei to come and help me second this bill and support the women of Kenya in this legislative agenda. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Cherargei, before you second, there's a communication from the chair. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge in the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting 2 lectures and 55 third-year Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and Public Administration and Bachelor of Arts in Phenology, Correction and Administration students from the Bomet University College in Bomet County. The delegation is in the Senate for 1-day academic exposure. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Senator Cherargei, would you, just one moment, we also have another delegation. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting 2 lecturers and 23 students from the Pwani University in Kilifi County. The delegation is in the Senate for 1-day academic exposure. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you. Senator Cherargei, you may take the opportunity to welcome the senators from Bomet County. And Senator Cherargei, since you're going to second, we'll ask you to welcome Bomet later. Let us have Senator Chimera welcome the students from Kilifi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me just be brief in my welcoming remarks. Let me take this opportunity to welcome the students from Pwani University, Kilifi County. You have a unique opportunity to learn what the Senate is all about, what we do here. And I also want to encourage you that some of us have been where you are today, and we never got a chance to be able to visit certain institutions like the Senate, the Parliament, to be able to see and appreciate the kind of work that we do as senators. Otherwise, welcome to the Senate, learn as much as possible, and I hope to see some of you in future occupying this space in the Senate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Cherargei.
Mr. Speaker, as I rise to second this bill of